Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, everybody. So today I'm going to be speaking about one of our clients. So our client is Voyage Privé. So Voyage Privé is a e-commerce retailer for flash sales for vacation packages. And so there's some intrinsic challenges that they have with regards to recommendation systems. They know that their war is going to be won or lost on the quality of the personalization that they can achieve. And of course, they know a lot about their customers, even though there's some challenges, right? Their customers tend to only purchase maybe 1 or 2 packages per year, so they don't have a lot of buying history to go on. But they do have a good amount of, for example, clickstream data. So they're pretty good at getting an understanding of what your preferences are broadly. So they know if you like ski, they know if you like beach vacations, and so on. But the real challenge is how do we improve the actual targeting of the offer itself? So you see here an example of the way that they're presenting the offers. The image is key. And so how do we go beyond just knowing that I should pitch a ski vacation versus a beach vacation to an individual and actually start understanding which image within that broad category is going to be most compelling? Because of course, not all images are created equal. It's relatively easy to know if I should present either a ski picture or a beach picture, but within the ski pictures, there's a lot of different vacations, and some of these might be more appealing than others. Some may actually be off-putting for certain consumers. So for example, you could imagine a consumer who is very attracted to the more adventurous approach and might actually be off-put by the more luxurious approach. Alternatively, for one of our beach consumers, maybe they want to go to the all-inclusive resort with a little cabana and everything to go along with it, and they don't want anything to do with the secluded beach. So how do we start understanding what is in the content of the images? Of course, we're talking about millions of images per year, so this is not manual editorialized content. This needs to be done algorithmically. So the data scientists in the room, of course, they know where this is going, right? We need to do deep learning. We need to get some neural nets set up. We need to start doing something a little bit more sophisticated. But you saw the metrics on Voyage Privé. They're not Expedia, they don't have unlimited coffers, and there's some real constraints associated with deep learning. Some of those are, of course, the computational side. You typically want to use some GPUs. Those are expensive. Not everybody has those. Certainly Voyage Privé did not have those available. You probably need some deep learning expertise. Even if you have a data scientist, he or she remains a relatively esoteric field. Then, of course, there's the time. There was a very strong go-to-market pressure for Voyage Privé. They needed to get this out there. They needed to know, they needed to improve the quality of these personalizations and to specifically personalize those images. And to do this, typically what you're going to need to do is to get labeled data. So this is a huge set of images which are already pre-categorized with ski, adventure, hors-piste, whatever the qualifiers are, that are going to be useful for then putting these in the proper copy. And so, well, basically, Voyage Privé didn't have any of this. And so what they did, and what we helped them with, was work on a way which would allow them to really punch above their weight. Because these are some of the challenges that, of course, the big guys could solve, but how does a mid-market player tackle this? And the answer really is an iterative, collaborative data science approach. And so specifically what they did was took the best of the open source world, taking some existing databases, so specifically databases that were already pre-trained, pre-labeled, so that they could learn from those abilities, and then applied a method called transfer learning. Transfer learning takes pre-trained neural networks, cuts off the most sophisticated parts, and allows you to reuse those in your context. I'm not going to go into the technical details right now, that's a different talk, but what is the outcome? The outcome now is an intellectual property asset for Voyage Privé. They've been able to use the best of the open source world, inject their own custom learnings into it, and now they have their own internal neural network that allows them to understand the content of images and place those images accordingly for those different offers. So this is pretty neat. This is typically something which is going to be reserved for the big guys. And here we have Voyage Privé, who's been able to do this by using an intelligent approach, using the best of their capabilities, and deploying it rapidly. And so, in addition to that intellectual property asset of that now internal neural network, Some of the best learnings of this approach, and I think that the main emphasis here is on the approach rather than the specific results, is that, for example, they were able to learn interesting new things along the way. Because it wasn't obvious that the transfer learning approach was going to be the right one at the outset, we had to make different approaches. As Bruce was saying, we had to fail fast. And that's exactly what we did. And along the way, we learned new things. So one example here is that for ski sales, actually showing pictures of ski tends to have a negative effect on the actual conversion rate. What you want to show is the après ski, right? You want to show what is it? It's the bedroom, the hotel room, the swimming pool that goes along with it. Not necessarily obvious. There was some intuition that this may have been the case. But of course, it was only by going through this process of an iterative, collaborative data science approach that they were able to detect that, in addition to, of course, generating their own internal neural network. So where do they go from here? So they have this incredible intellectual property asset in this neural network now. They've been using it now to train, or using it now to do customized offer presentation based on their recommendation system. So again, they're able to present the appropriate picture for the appropriate offer for the appropriate user. Well, what's next? Let's go beyond now just individual offers, and let's think about how we can present the brand. Because of course now they have the ability to algorithmically understand the content of images. And so what does that allow? That means that they can now change the way in which they're presenting the entire brand to different consumers. So that for you, it might be the go-to one-stop destination for adventure travel. But for me, it might be the one-stop location for luxury travel, and for someone else, for family travel. And so this is extremely powerful, where we start imagining a way in which a brand can customize its positioning. So what are the key wrap-ups? Well, one, it's not just possible to be at the cutting edge, but it's necessary. And here's a great example of how a mid-market player was able to achieve that. They did this using a certain level of intelligence rather than just pure brute force. Keep in mind that personalization goes beyond just the broad categories, and the deeper you go, the higher results you get. You saw on the first side, 7% top line across 500 million in revenue, 35 million. And so then what are the key considerations? Well, you need to iterate, you need to fail fast, and you need to collaborate. It's not one data scientist, it's not one marketing expert that has all the answers. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Kurt. Any questions? Yes. Over there.
Thank you. Great presentation. And I'm not sure, maybe you said this, I'm not sure if I'm clear on this. Great insight you told us about skis, pictures not being the ones that are the most obvious, but showing bedrooms, whatever, is more powerful. Are you able to segment those learnings against detailed clusters of audiences, or is it just a bundle outcome that you scale out across all of the audience?
Yeah, it's a good question because it gets to some of the things that are hidden in the presentation. I only talked about one part of it. Actually, there's a number of different approaches which were being applied to enable this. One of which was knowing the preferences of the consumers. So of course there was individual user level personalization ongoing. And then on top of that, how do you match those personal preferences against now this capability to know what is in the content of the image? So in fact, there were multiple different models which were deployed and then linked up to enable this the overall capability. Does that answer the question? Okay.
So basically, you're able to get an insight that is different from one particular segment of audience, which is very different from one insight that would apply to another segment of audience.
That's exactly right. And then for these different segments, and actually at the user level, present to them not only different offers, but different representations of the same offer.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kurt. I think we are out of time. Sorry about that. Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Big round of applause.